these fights is going to be really, really tough. You already had to deal with this Kog'Maw who's going to be able to use the Rylai's Crystal Scepter and this long-range poke to be a nuisance for you in the backline, which is relatively short range. Now you've got this Orianna as well, who can control the midline in fights, where she can play a little bit further forward, make sure that she's got the orb or the ball to make sure that she's always contesting where iBoy wants to be positioned. So be curious to see how iBoy does play these fights, and if he can play at least away from a lot of this backline threat that OMG have in their 2 cards.
You know what I was scared about there? I saw the hover of the Silas, and I thought, well, there's a big chance that Icon plays Renekton mid, but of course it's not going to be the case. We just get a bit of normality here to finish off the series. But this series has been anything but normal. Vici showed us a dominant game 1. OMG showed us a dominant game 2. And now everything's out on the table. We've got a game 3 with an AP Kog'Maw and a fat Orianna for Icon. The ability for them to snowball and run out of control still there. And the ability for Vici to maybe sit back a little bit. Also, as we talked about, with conditions. In this final game, whose cuisine will reign supreme? Did you ever watch The Iron Chef? It was a great show.
No, I know the show, but I haven't watched it, no. I like the little Spirit Blossoms, by the way, on the Champions League.
Yeah.
But continue with your cuisine.
Well, that would be the intro, right? Or, you know, like the outro. And then it'd be like, it's the Iron Chef from either Japan or China or somewhere. I can't remember the other region. Great show. Any Australians remember that on SBS as we enter Summoner's Rift for the 3rd and last time in this series. And the pink hue throughout the air. We've, someone's had a bushfire. It's smoky out there. Seriously, like back when in Australia, when I was there in December, when unfortunately there were a lot of bushfires around Christmas, that was the color of the air. I've actually got a photo up on Instagram or /Twitter where it's like the sky is red. It's kind of scary.
It still breaks my brain a little bit that your guys' Christmas is the summer.
Oh, it's hot.
Yeah.
You jump in the pool for Christmas.
Yeah.
You eat cold prawns, oysters. You know, you smoke salmon and creme fraiche. And
your classic Christmas meal.
Yeah, dude. And then you have your big pork. If anyone hasn't eaten like I have, and this is going to make you really hungry, you get your pork, your ham, your big... Do we have chicken? What do we have? No, turkey. I actually did duck last year as well. Tea-smoked duck. Yeah, with a bit of hoisin over it as well.
I had this conversation with Munchfuls, and who was it that actually, no, it was with you guys. We were talking about duck fat or goose fat on your roast potatoes for Christmas.
Duck fat, brother,
oh,
yeah.
It's so good.
Oh, my God. Duck fat is a miracle. That thing is not good. It's not good for you, but boy, does it taste good. Onto the Rift. Everyone just noticed, we talked about this in Champs, like Smlz is Comet because he will be AP Cog in this bottom lane as we get a bit of a hover. A lot of mana available with Presence of Mind and Mana Flow Ban, plus the cooldown reduction and the late game scaling. He is going to be a menace, even has a bit of CDR in his other rune sets. So.
And as he talked about Vici taking it easy, well, OMG can also take it easy if they would like to in this early stages, because you do have Smlz who's going to scale. You've also got Icon who's going to scale relatively well. The crucial factor for me here, though, is that Hacker has such a massive advantage when it comes to his clear in the jungle. He is so much faster than Ike's, who's got to go more through this single target camps to try and set himself up. So as Hacker, what I'd love to see him do is, which is what we're looking at the moment, this full clear into go towards that scuttle at that 315, back and just have so much more advantage into how quickly he can clear, into getting better items, into back onto the map before Ikes can really contest, and look for a gank around that level 4 mark.
He's currently towards that top side where Scuttle's being picked out by Vici Gaming. There is a ward in River though. That'll be spotted out if he walks through. But at this point, note that, you know, the jungle matchup has been pretty crucial. Ike's failed to do anything in game number 2, and we're to a third where now invading in. Hacker's going to spot this out. A ward placed down his own. There is a bit of priority in mid through Zeka. So Ike's can walk up, clear away this ward, and safely walk through mid. And kind of just get the shove if he pleases.
Yeah, Ike's is a little bit worried because Curse does have control of top side. Zeka can shove in this mid lane, but more than likely what Ike's is thinking is, look, I've got Zeka who's got control mid. I've got my bottom lane, he's got control there. I'm just going to take the safer option here and go for this bottom side Scuttle. Now, it does mean, as we were talking about, Hacker can go for a faster clear here where he can go towards Scuttle, back in towards his Krugs if he wants to. But I imagine Hacker's going to back here off of the quicker camps he's cleared, get himself a nice L back, get some better items, and then come back onto the map. But potential here for him to go towards Krugs as well.
Yeah, going to be doing that for now. As iBoy in the bottom lane is stepped a bit too far forward, but so is Sora, who will get hit pretty hard. Nice little hook from Maestro as the bottom lane suffering. I mean, you look at Kog'Maw as having great dueling when he goes AP until he gets that ult at least. Yeah, a bit of burst. Bit of burst. Yeah, cool. Bit of burst. Bit of
a little bit. He's got a lot of wave clear as well. Because usually with the AP Kog'Maw, you'll max the E first.
Yep.
So you wave clear super effectively. You got a good amount of poke with that. And it actually makes it really difficult for the likes of Maestro to position aggressively to try and get on top of him. Same when it comes towards iBoy as well, because of that relatively slow or low range. It makes it a lot easier for Smlz to apply the slow, get the damage, and then follow up with a couple of auto attacks as well.
Can you imagine the League of Legends janitor that has to clean up after him though? God, the floors will do messy.
I now have this image of like a bunch of minions that come out when everything's done. And they just
Yeah,
get the
with
little,
the mops.
Yeah.
Man. Because you got to think there are some workers on the Rift. Because look, when Worlds comes along, they redesign the stone.
True. Yeah.
And at the moment in the mid lane, I feel like that's redesigned as well.
Do you remember that old comic that was out, the one that broke everyone's heart, where it was like two minions that fell in love and then they had like numbers as to when they were supposed to come out from the Nexus to go onto the battlefield, and one of them stole the number of the other one. So that minion would go out first, so he died, but the other minion survived, and it was oh no, it made me feel so bad for what's happening. But
kind of sad.
Hey.
As, mid, Zeka will spot out Hacker, who just tries to run at him. Icon does a bit of damage down. That's crucial. This lane is quite fickle, as Redemption picked up. That's unlucky. When you do all this hard work and you get a redemption.
So I want to point out what's happening with the two junglers here, because obviously you can see Hackers hit that level 5, whereas Ike's still on level 4. So the reason that this is happening is because, remember what we talked about at the beginning with Hacker going for this full clear and clearing his jungle. It means all of his camps are respawning at level 3, which means that when he clears each camp, he's able to get more experience and he starts approaching that level 5 faster. Ike's, on the other hand, was only able to go for these single target camps that he cleared, so he went buff to buff, he did his wolves, and he also did that grok. But it means that his Raptors and his Krugs are both still at level 1, so when he goes to clear them, he's not gaining as much experience from those camps, and he has to kill them to let them respawn at the higher level. So that's why when we look at Hacker, this is why Volibear is so strong, because he's great gank potentially, super beefy, but his clear is incredible.
And now with that lead, he's going to force a bit of an engage. Ike's forced to flash himself. The scuttle was secured by Vici, but at the cost of the summoner is quite large. And you talk about this experience difference, of course, there is no catch-up experience in the jungle. Hasn't been for a while. Ender was talking about it last night during the G2 and Schalke bonanza, whatever that game was, because boy, oh boy, I'm glad that was a best of one. That kind of feels it. Woo! G2 look a bit... I'm tiptoeing here. G2 look rubbish. I got to make hard opinions. Raz left, and you know what he said to me? He said, make hard opinions. And ever since, I've been a very good boy. But coming back to this, what was I talking about? The neutral objectives that Ender was talking about last night. Still have that catch-up experience, remember? So Dragons, Rift Herald, and the ability for someone like Ike's to look ahead. But he has been farming well. He has been on an even pace Packer so far. The CS lead is a bit in his favor, as red and blue will spawn again.
And look, all we're going to see is, at the moment, a little bit of a slower pace there to game. Both these squads are pretty happy to continue at this pace, because you've still got at least Smlz who's looking to scale, but as I say that, Hacker...
Oh, flash play, and Hacker's going to flash in as well. Late from iBoy, the shield that comes through is enough, and iBoy kiting back, but it's way too late. Maestro might have to accept his fate as well as a flash back up. Sorry, flight. Maestro's dead. Smlz gets a kill, and that's a whoopsie, but a good gank from OMG.
Fantastic gank for OMG, especially as you see Smlz running the teleport, so doesn't have those bad summoners, but curse. Things
are coming down over the top of Ike's, but the red buff won't be taken. No trade from Vici Gaming.
And they're going to get the dragon out of this as well. So Smlz gets this lovely back now where he'll be able to finish that last chapter, which means that then he'll be totally fine for mana as we start to go in towards these moments where he wants to start spamming that level 6, but this is a great gank. You've already got the boots completed here for Hacker, so he's able to get into this lane so much better. Sora as well, setting up these plays beautifully.
Yep.
So the 2 kills go over towards Vici, and 1 crucially going to Smlz, accelerating him towards that later stage.
He's got himself Lost Chapter. He's got the tier in pocket as well. We come back to live, and Vici's response is towards this Herald, but OMG are making the move. Smlz bot, but with a TP.
Now, Vici should be able to get this. So what Ike's identified was that with Hacker playing towards that bottom side, then here in the Dragon going down, he knew he had a lot of time to turn towards this objective. Plus, hey, look, he had control over the top side for a cube too, so it makes a lot of sense for him to pick that up. OMG can't get out towards that objective fast enough. And now we're looking at, okay, 2 kills, a bit of a gold lead going over to OMG. There's the opportunity here for Vici to once again try and accelerate one of their lanes with that Rift Herald. I'd love to see it go down towards Zeka here, or sorry, go into the mid lane towards Zeka though, because although iBoy in the later stages of the game will be super, super strong, the issue is enabling iBoy in fights is going to be a little bit difficult as we talked about Icon and Smlz. So getting Zeka ahead, getting the burst damage on the Zoe can do far more for Vici over OMG.
And he has kept up in CS, so crucially has enough gold, same as Icon at this point. But OMG are ahead by 1,000 gold at 9 minutes into the game. That comes off the bottom lane play. Also some small CS leads like the one in the mid lane. Jungle's even, top's even. Actually, props to Cube. Reverse matchup last game. Cube was ahead by about 30 CS, was the only one on Vici Gaming who had a CS lead. This time around, Curse hasn't been able to exemplify that, hasn't been able to push that out. Cube has been farming pretty well.
And this is a weird game 3 for us to go into, right? Because it's been pretty action-packed so far in this series, and we've seen both games end within that 28-minute mark, but when we're looking at iBoy, who's got this Aphelios, he's looking for the Infinity Edge, he's looking for that Runins, he's looking for that Phantom Dancer. Actually, maybe?
Shockwave is available. Ike's to support. Heal burnt, thanks to the spellbook, and no Shockwave. No problem, apparently. Dissonance still does a bit of damage, and Icon will be able to get the shove out here as well, and Zeka might have to back without a TP.
Yeah, Zeka still should be fine here. Icon low on mana as well, so it's not like he's going to be able to push the wave particularly effectively. So you see Icon's going to back as well. Zeka, though, should be able to finish maybe this Luther's Echo here? Not quite. So he would have loved to have that opportunity here to finish off that item and get himself into a good spot, but unfortunately for himself, he's not quite able to do so. So we're still going to wait for Vici to have a bit more impact when Zeka does get that Luden's Echo completed. Also, the potential here for Ike to try and play through mid with Zeka when you've got the Sleepy Trouble Bubble into the likes of this pillar, but when you've got Cleanse still on Icon, and you've always got to be wary of Hacker lurking in the wings, I don't think Vici are going to make any sort of plays early.
Yeah, we'll hold our thought. At the very least, apologies, Zeka did use his TP because it was coming off a cooldown after burning the heal from the unsealed spellbook, so was able to TP back to lane and hasn't missed anything. Icon got his back off as well, wasn't able to pick up his first item either. Zeka now has the Ghost in hand, and I'm looking towards the top left to see if these mid laners get their first items before the Mountain Dragon spawns. Sora and Hacker just positioning, getting ready for this one. Top laners, do they have TP? Well, Cube will have it by then. So, second Dragon in this series. Each game has pretty much been a fight. I'm waiting for that second Dragon.
It'd be interesting to see, though, because at least when you look at Aphelios, usually we're like, hey, look, Aphelios wants to start getting up towards that Infinity Edge and being really, really strong. But when you're against AP Kog'Maw, Aphelios' consistent damage outweighs the impact that Smlz can have in this fight. So when we look towards Zeka, who's going to be pretty strong, as he can provide a bunch of bursts, and Cube as well, I give that edge at this Dragon fight over towards Vici. So I want to see if they can set up for it. They are backing now, so we'll take them 30 seconds to get back onto the map. Does give it a lot of control over to OMG, who have already got their own resets through, so they can get control of this river, get vision down, and make it very difficult for Vici to actually approach in if they do this correctly.
Oh, running in head first, yeah. Ike's going to be challenged. Pillar placed down 20 seconds, but doesn't look like Ike's is going to back. Nor is Smlz actually. He went back earlier and picked up the Seraphs. And is getting up some solo turret plating, so fun time here for the... I mean, it's Arcanist Kog'Maw. No, what's the new skin called? I don't know. It's like Schoolboy Kog'Maw. That's what it looks like. He's got a backpack on.
I think it is
I think it's a book. I think it's a book.
It is. It's a book, yeah.
It's not Arcadis. Arcadis already exists. I don't know what it's called. It's a new one.
It's one from
Galactic
the
Spew Kog'Maw.
It's from the fantasy land. I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah.
Oh,
but either way, OMG are the ones that are going to pick up this dragon for themselves. There's 2 dragons gone across, and I honestly thought that maybe Vici would have been able to make something happen here. Smlz still scaling. Icon hasn't got his first item completed, and I think you can play it a long enough range with Zeka where you can pick off or poke off members of OMG and then look to start the fight afterwards. But Vici not feeling confident about it, instead gift open another mountain, but it will mean they have the potential to pick up 3 ocean dragons for themselves, or even that 4th ocean dragon for themselves. And that is beautiful against the poke that Smlz has.
In the same regard, not bad if you're OMG who can pick that one up, because you got poke for Zeka to deal with, and that'll be made a little bit easier in this final game. As mid lane lead for Icon. He's sitting on a bit of gold as well, but doesn't seem like he's going to let Zeka back. He's just picked up the blue buff. Zeka behind 25 CS. Crucial to note, we are heading towards the Ocean Souls Dagda said, but also another Herald coming up in under a minute. Actually, under 20 seconds now.
Yeah, you can see already though OMG are moving in early to this, and this is actually really good from OMG. A lot of the time we've seen them late on these objectives where they don't back in time, they're not getting the resets in, and they'll end up gifting across these Rift Heralds and Dragons towards enemy teams. But Vici actually not interested at all in fighting. They want to just make plays instead.
Yeah, TP burnt. They want to kill Curse. Pillar flashed away from Call. The Forge God is the final follow-up. That misses too. A lot burnt to be on this bottom side of the map. They lose Herald, and with Smlz having a shoved wave, I feel like OMG are going to have a much better push once this goes down.
They will, but it does take time for it to go down. You have an Aphelios with Severum on that bottom lane structure. It's going to go down just as quick, as you can see. So now Vici have the opportunity to just trade back and forth. You can see they've already sent multiple members from Vici back to go against any sort of push that comes through. But already, good call here from OMG to read, hey look, we don't need to invest this Rift Herald topside. We've got enough damage as Smlz's already been poking the structure.
We'll get his own piece of that gold. 175 in his back pocket. Well, hang on, solo kill territory. Zeka lands, flashes away. Trouble bubbles there, but this is what's been happening in the lane the whole time. Icon's had so much damage in his kit. He uses Cleanse, Zeka uses Flash.
Icon's had a great series. Even in game number 1, despite the fact that they lost, Icon was ahead 20 to 30 CS.
Yep.
Game 2, his Azir looked incredible again, putting a bunch of hurt down on towards Zeka. And now we're in game number 3, forcing Flash's a 30 CS lead once again. Icon has definitively controlled this lane throughout the series.
This is what happened in the bottom left-hand of your screen. Just a lot of damage coming through with the Shockwave. And Cleanse away in the end. I think he was scared about Maestro, who was rolling in, but now with Zeka having to back away and return to lane, OMG have the shove. They have Herald mid, and the poke's starting to come down from iBoy.
Zeka can get in over here and clear the wave, but you still got to deal with that Rift Herald.
Yes, you do. But enough damage. Actually, the turret will not drop today. So good defense from Vici Gaming, but we're starting to see how OMG can start sieging and threatening away these turrets. As Trouble Bubble somehow lands. Zeka with the poke down onto Holder. Ignite was picked up and dropped on him as well. He moves to half health. And Zeka's just waiting on the side for someone to overstep. This is the power of Zoe we see in this league.
This is the thing, though. This is why I wanted to see Vici try and fight a little bit earlier. You can see how much damage is coming out from Zeka. And that was one combo onto one of the tankiest members of OMG. As this dragon is about to spawn, though, at least they are shoving OMG back. Vici are getting control as Ike's looking to try and pick off Curse.
Trouble Bubble lands again. But nothing to be followed up here. OMG defending their own turret. We're sitting mid for a bit. As iBoy just finished Cole, that's what you see off the side of your screen. And better damage from old Zeka.
It's interesting to see the build that Icon has gone for, though. When we talked about this game, we were like, hey, look, both these teams want to scale. They want to get towards the late game. And this is kind of the more common build that we're starting to see on Orianna because of the spike you get in the mid game with the GLP. But I'd nearly argue in this game, because you know you're waiting for Aphelios to come online, because you're waiting for Smlz to come online, and Vici have been so slow in enacting any sort of game plan, there's an argument here for Icon to go towards that more late game scaling build with getting a Seraphs of his own, starting to go in towards these more damage orientated builds where you pass a serious punch when we hit the late game.
Well, at the very least, will come in crucial now as Stronglevel lands again over the wall. The poke doesn't connect. Was teleport burn? No, it wasn't. My eyes deceiving me. But instead, we're going to watch Curse come on down as we're A-ramming. Oh, yeah, we are. Now, we're going to Dragon a fight over, so it's not like we're doing this for no reason, but Vici will have the priority with the wave going first, and OMG have to walk into them.
Zeka hasn't quite been able to land the poke, though, and as long as OMG get vision for Smlz, he can really hurt right now.
Maestro went a bit too far forward. He's going to get hooked in, goes golden in the nick of time. I'll call the Force God layers down onto 3. Searing charge with the follow-up as well. Cube's ulti, and iBoy's ulti was quite massive, sorry, as Maestro lives for now. The poke from Smlz in the back line. Sora even has to flash at the end of the play. Somehow Maestro lived. Somehow Vici won the fight as Icon walking in here into iBoy. He's had a great series, Dagda, but that was just not good.
It really wasn't, and with Vici's 2 carries surviving on what's a lot of HP compared to anyone else in this game, Vici will be able to turn towards this dragon and start their conquest of the Ocean Dragons.
Waiting for that fight, and OMG walking into them. Dragon going over to Vici Gaming. 3 more to go for them.
And a weird fight from OMG where they tried to get some vision for Smlz so he could start poking on his own, but weren't quite able to get as much as they would like. And Icon burning that that very early shockwave, you'll see it here, on towards just Maestro. It's not really worth it in the end. Maestro does a good job of going golden, but watch here, Smlz has to reposition, but he's brought straight into the damage from iBoy as this Infernum starts to wreak havoc. And then Zeka does a really good job of forcing OMG back so Vici can buy a bit of time. And then, as he said, Hysterics, Icon trying to make these plays happen, trying to pick off Ikes, but just finds an iBoy instead.
I don't know what you expect there as Icon, but at the very least, iBoy getting the shutdown is massive. Icon at 220 CS at 20 minutes. He was quite large himself, had a bounty with no kills, but now iBoy has 2 himself, has 2 items. It's Aphelios time as the Death Sentence connects, and Maestro doesn't have the escape plan this time with the watch down as Zeka's doing his own bit of legwork. iBoy will follow up with the poke here. But we got a dragon in hand. There is a Baron up. One more mistake from either team could net them. That's a ridiculous back from Smlz, who now has 2 items and is TPing back to lane.
Yeah. And I mean, look, you can see not even the Colonel is sure which way this one's going to go. So Smlz, as he's ramping up, is going to look great. Icon, we already talked about, has gone for a bit of more of a mid-game oriented build, but still going to be relatively strong. We just want to see this shockwave kept more for when the fights get a bit more chaotic. And Icon can play forward and try and get onto the likes of iBoy and Zeka, rather than using it to try and pick off Maestro or Ikes at the start of these fights.
As we've seen, best part about Shockwave is catching people out in rotation and being able to silence either a kill or 2.
Well, the big thing here is the range discrepancy from iBoy makes it a lot easier for Icon to threaten iBoy. And while that shockwave is still up, iBoy has to give a lot of respect to that ability. So it makes he's got to play a little bit further back. He can't be as aggressive as he wants to be. And then a lot of the consistent damage that iBoy could be churning out isn't quite there. So it means your Vici are relying on Zeka to try and be the main source of damage for their own.
I just love that we're sitting mid once again, and our camera's stuck here because 80 carries are here, but there's always this support play. You know, the hook sent out, Sora doing the same, maybe Icon in the wing. Meanwhile, though, Zeka's up topside by himself, getting this solo goal. This will put Vici in about 1,000 gold lead at 22 minutes, and a bit of gold well-deserved by Zeka, who needs to start catching up to Icon. So,
this is getting to interesting territory, because we're getting to 23 minutes into the game. We've had very little interaction on both sides. Next Dragon is up in 2 minutes, but look at the items that are starting to be completed. So Smlz, as he said, completed that second item. Crucially, it's the Ryleigh's Crystal Scepter. So, when you look at the GLP that's on Icon, the Rylai Scepter that's on Smlz, the box as well that can come through from Sora, Vici, at least the 4 members that aren't called Zeka, are really going to struggle to get on top of OMG because of all the kite back, because of the slows. So OMG, in theory, should have a better time of poking. But the problem is Zeka has been doing a fantastic job in the Zoe. He's got the Oblivion Orb, he's got a Luden's Echo. his poke is going to do a lot of work in this game as well.
Plus Calibrum with ulti, or, you know, Graviton with ulti, Infernum with ulti. iBoy still has a bit himself. So the follow-up from iBoy Zeka as a combo is a bit of threat. Almost towards the third item for this Aphelios. Oblivion Orb, as you mentioned, was picked up by Zeka. I guess we're just going to wait till the next dragon. Says both teams. A minute left remaining. No one really going to threaten the Baron at this point, but we know with the Molten Edge upgrade, iBoy does have threat. Turret actually will go down, thanks to Smlz pushing the wave, but there is a Aphelios who almost has Chakram.
The big thing here, though, is that Icon has to go top here to clear this wave that Zeka's pushed in. Zeka still has teleport, so can join in for a fight. Icon is also going to be late on this reset. He wants to back and finish his Spellbinder, I believe is what he's going for here. But it means that then he won't be able to join into this fight either, as he's on his way back out. It's actually the Banshee's Veil that he's decided to opt towards instead, trying to avoid some of the poke from Zeka. But if Vici turn directly towards this dragon as it spawns, or at least get control of this river, Icon will be a little bit late to this play as Zeka decides to TP.
You definitely respect the purchase here from Icon when you've got iBoy with Graviton. Again, we talked about it. Maestro's auto attack, Zeka's Trouble Bubble. There's a lot he has to deal with right now. Sora is going to be caught out, but no follow-up damage. OMG push back in this mid lane and Dragons up. This one they're going to potentially give over to the threat of a deeper push mid or going up towards the Baron.
They don't really have the damage to do the Baron. Yes, you got a lot of damage that can come out from Smlz, as obviously that ult, the ult ramps up in damage over time for Smlz the more you use it. But it's not like you're an AD or at least on-hit Kog'Maw where you can rip through that health bar. Cube, though, approaching this.
I mean, he's face-checking. Of course he can. Ball out Vici in the middle of River. Curse and Sora making their escape. I don't believe Vici saw them run away. So, walking into River, clearing out the vision. Ike's actually spotting him out. Curse with the Dark Passage. Thankfully, the support is a Thresh.
So the problem for Vici here is that although they are getting some of these objectives, they can very quickly burst down the Baron, but they definitely need the Baron to try and crack open OMG. Between Icon, between Smlz, the wave clear is going to be far too high. So Vici are looking for an opportunity to...
Okay, well, Zeka's just walked on in. Opportunity to get hosed down, apparently.
Yeah, and take a whole burst damage combo as well. But look, Zeka doesn't go down, which is the main point. But what Vici are looking to do here is to find an opportunity to either rush down the Baron or catch members of OMG at a lot of these objectives where Vici can go for a Sleepy Trouble Bubble over the wall, get a huge amount of poke off with Zeka, and then look for a numbers advantage favored fight. Or, as we talked about, getting that Baron buff, then starting to siege up and seeing if they can make some magic happen when they're able to actually keep their minions alive long enough away from Smlz.
You know what's going to happen, though, Dagda?
What's that?
3.5 minutes. That's how long we're going to wait. We're going to farm again for 3.5 minutes, as you talked about. Both teams happy to let this one roll a bit. And especially since we've got a Phantom Dancer on iBoy, wait till the next dragon, see what happens. Smlz will probably have the Leandri's Torment by then. I assume Spellbinder will be on the way for Icon. And yeah, you know, we got 4 kills in 26 minutes after both game 1 and 2 was decided at 15 minutes. Even less. Like 10 minutes into game 1 and game 2, Vici decided it. OMG
The
decided.
Nexus was blowing up for both sides
at this time.
stage. Yeah. We still have tier 2s available.
I mean, everyone's just like, well, handshake. And fair enough, you know. I mean, at this point, you know the problem is by, you know, the LPL being sponsored by KFC. I just get hungry all broadcast. Yeah. I just feel like some Kentucky chicken, you know?
It's also the broadcast starts at an awful time because it starts at 5
it did
our time, and then we go until about 11. And we don't get a huge amount of break in between, so
we don't get
you kind of just end up hungry a lot of the time.
We get a break for me to run to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And, you know, with my 18 bottles of water, I need it every break. It's a very far way away. We've got to get the pace on. Well, much like this game, Dagda, I don't care what the cops want. My league is my league, you know. I don't know, I call it my league. The LPL is not known for this style of play. And it feels like, also, shout out to the person who tweeted us for the smorgasbord.
Oh, yeah.
See, I told you I was right. I told you it was a word. But the best part about a smorgasbord is, you know, if you go to a fancy house, a good smorgasbord will have 5 different types of cheese. Olives, you know, and one of those cheeses better be feta. I love creamy feta. You know, I found a place here that sells feta, and there's Greek and there's Danish style.
Just before
feta.
we go, I just want to give a quick shout out to that person. I hope everything's doing better. That's all I'm saying.
With
the person who tweeted at us for the smorgasbord.
Yeah.
I just hope things are going better for you.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
You're such a nice
Just want to
person.
give a little shout out. But
Okay, do you know the person?
they tweeted at me a little bit.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I was just like, did you buy him a smorgasbord?
No.
What a legend you are. Thanks for tweeting me. Here's a smorgasbord.
If anyone would like to buy us a smorgasbord for this, so that then we can sit down with some nice cheese, some meats, it'd be great.
Spell smorgasbord.
Look, it's clearly Scandinavian,
It
and I
definitely
don't
is.
have the vocabulary.
Hang on, Maestro's going to pull him in. We've got a fight finally, and Dragon's not up for 30 seconds. Christmas comes early as Sora puts down the box, call the Forge God, lay it onto the 3 backliners. Curse goes into dominance, but for OMG, I don't think they win this fight anymore. Redemption comes down, and Maestro almost makes me choke on saliva as the poke onto Hacker on the back line. No kills, almost death. As this is just going to be Dragon for Vici.
Well, Zeka might be going down.
Yeah, Shockwave there flashed away from. And Icon still the forefront of this comp.
So yeah, no real damage being able to turn back and forth. Vici now will get their 3rd Dragon of the game, and Smlz, like, he's got enough items. It's just unfortunately for him not quite able to land the damage that he would.
You know, Midbeast, shout out to Midbeast, who a fellow Aussie, actually put out a video recently to lose more skins, and this was actually one of them, because you know the Bio-Arcane Barrage. You actually see where it's going down because of the little seed on the ground. Whereas the normal skin, you only see that thin red line. So this one's actually very easy to spot where the ultimate from Kog'Maw is going. As you'll see in a second, you see the little seed on the ground is always, like, very obvious. The other one is the Battle Cast. Yeah, as Ike's going to be hooked in, played in, but he's very tanky. Subjugate not available. It might not even be needed as Curse going to be locked down as well with the Gravitum. The poke is massive and Curse is not strong enough. As Ike survives, so does Maestro. 4 versus 5, the re-engage. The cameraman flips out because Cube is onto the backline versus 4. Searing Charge not needed yet. There's 5 versus 4 now. The reality for OMG for about 40 seconds. While Zeka keeps landing these trouble bubbles. Icon has a cleanse if he gets hit. Luckily he won't. Vici now can do what they want.
Yeah, and I mean, they can turn towards this Baron if they want to. iBoy looks like he wants to shove up mid a little bit, but I mean, you still have to contend with enough poke from OMG, but with 2 low mana on both the Orianna and the Kog'Maw, I'm surprised they're not just taking this Baron.
You know what? They want this game to go longer.
Why, though?
They want 4 Oceans for the absolute guarantee.
Sure. I mean, you're already winning these pretty hard. You've already got Zeka, who's turning out far more poke than Smlz is capable of right now. And I think as well, as we talked about, if Curse and Hacker ever go in to try and engage, to try and set up Smlz and Icon for some of these big plays, well, you're just enabling iBoy so much in those fights. So it ends up in this messy back and forth where this game is really going to be decided by who's able to churn out more damage between Zeka and Smlz.
Yep.
And right now, Zeka's the one in the lead.
Zeka and Smlz. Don't forget iBoy, who is almost 4 items with Death Dance on the way. The biggest problem that OMG are going to face is if they group up, iBoy's late game ulti is just going to shred, destroy, and then him with Infernum. Pretty much the same. Plus, you have Ornn upgrades. So, folks, you're seeing gold at the top of your screen at 32 minutes here. But Vici actually heavily in the lead due to the ornaments that are picked up here. 2 for himself and then 1 across the board. Bar Ikes at this point. And Maestro. The Luden's Pulse, the Molten Edge, going to add a couple of extra K. Plus the Sunfire Cape and Majora's Mask upgrade that's given to Cube. But you know what I said? We're going to wait till the Ocean Soul that's now available for Vici Gaming in 2 minutes.
And, I mean, look at the items that they have for this fight as well. You're looking at Aphelios, who's already got a QSS, so he's going to be totally fine in case any sort of CC does manage to sneak its way past the front line. working up towards a death stance as well, which means he's going to be incredibly tanky. And when you're looking at the far side as well, double Void Staff now completed for the 2 members of OMG, so any sort of magic resist that is on this Vici squad may not be as potent as it used to.
Interesting that the Banshee's Veil isn't cancelled out by the knock-up, I guess. But
yeah.
By, you know, the pillar right in the middle is how you get the knock-up on Trundle.
I suppose because, like, if it burned the Banshee's Veil and, like, you just stayed there, it'd be a little bit frustrating because you just stuck on top of it.
I guess I'd expect to see the knock-up and maybe the Banshee's Veil go, but then again, that doesn't make sense, so I don't know what I'm saying anymore. I don't know what I'm saying, because this series has been... Yeah. This series... Why do I get these? Don't even talk to Clement Shoe.
It's a test of you.
A BLG OMG. I mean, I've done almost every OMG series at this point. People would say I'm the biggest OMG fan, but I'm quite the opposite at this point. And you know what?
You did a lot of DMO as well.
I did a lot of DMO.
I've managed to avoid the LNGs.
Well, I got one Rogue Warriors series, and I'm still smiling about it. It's crazy to me. I feel like maybe someone doesn't like me, you know? Fair enough. Maybe I complain too much. As Ike's getting poked down here, and you know what? Smlz is a nuisance. He has blue buff. But for some reason, iBoy hits once, and his poke is about the same. So with the Ocean Dragons 3 at the ready, Vici have themselves a bit of sustain. 20 seconds till the Ocean Soul comes up, Daggy.
There is the opportunity here for Vici to potentially just run towards Baron, or just apply some pressure to Hacker. Smlz with this blue buff is a serious nuisance, though.
Oh, God.
Look at all these arcane barrages that are coming out.
God, look at iBoy's shurikens. Call the Forge God comes in. OMG almost dead before the fight begins. Goodbye to Hacker. They stood there for a while. Shockwave's great, but iBoy doesn't get hit by it as Maestro is the trade-off. Their sentence lands, but Sora low while Zeka hitting off the side. Curse can't get in. iBoy says, howdly doodly. Feels like Curse is nothing at all. Over the wall, he'll survive for now, but onto the Dragon while Sora gets burst down. Icon doesn't have a Shockwave anymore, and all they have to do is kill with Zeka. As the zone control there, 2-man Gravitum. Icon cleanses away, flashes forward. Zeka almost kills the yucky dog. And walking away, OMG, they're going to give away the Ocean Soul. Zeka's going to nail down here and let OMG know that there's no place like home. Here comes iBoy, cats out. Forward goes Curse, and Smlz cancels his back. Icon might actually get his through. No! Searing Charge connects, and now all in the bin. Just like the fight, and just like the game.
Ocean Soul for Vici. They're going to start pushing in this bottom lane. Baron is up and available for whenever they want to take it. The poke from Smlz is going to be so little in comparison to all that regen that's coming through from a 4-stacked Ocean. And finally, it looks like Vici, although they didn't have the games that they would have wanted to from game number 2, looking very confident again.
Now, a lot of the audience be like, it's only a 3k gold lead, but look at the ornaments, look at the Ocean Soul on an Aphelios, and look at these death timers. Of course, they're going to be running it in. Gold won't matter anymore if you have a dead Nexus, and you know what? Doesn't matter, we won. That's what Vici Gaming will scream as well, as to their deaths they die. And this game number 3 was a long wait, but we got to a good Vici fight. They did play out the final moments well.